Hello and welcome to Ticket to Life. This is Henry, and I hope that you are ready for some fun-filled times with yours truly. That would be me. Just kidding, of course. I kid a lot. One time I had a really good friend. She must have been having a bad day, or she was always polite. And because I just kid, I tease a lot. I'm not offensively or because my mind, as I have said, is always going. It's just always going. I can be doing one thing, then something else pops in my head, and I go do another thing and another thing. I mean, it's crazy, but that's just who I am. That's how I am wired. But anyway, so she told me, I don't even remember what the conversation was. And she said, "You just tease too much." And I said, "Well, that's who I am. Don't need to be my friend if you don't like who I am." Anyway, I just thought I would share that with you that I do tease a lot, and you'll hear me say, just kidding, because that's what I do. Because sometimes you can say something and people take it very seriously, and you're like, I was just kidding. That's not really going to happen. You're not really going to go cross-eyed if someone pats you on the back. Have you ever heard that? I remember kids, and of course, when you're a kid, you believe anything. And someone saying, "Cross your eyes, and I'll slap you on your back." And somebody said, "No, don't do that because then you'll stay cross-eyed." I'm like, okay, well, they can fix people with. I mean, some people are actually cross-eyed, born that way. I had another friend who her little girl, she said she just woke up one morning and she was cross-eyed, but she's had surgeries and she's fine by the grace of God. Thank you for the doctors who are always looking and increasing things. But anyway, I'm sorry. Again, I'm going off all over the place. I hope that you've had a great week since you have listened to me. I hope that something really good has happened to you. And if it hasn't, well, guess what? Today's another day, and perhaps today will be the day that something fantastic will happen to you. Today we're going to be talking about socially unintelligent. Now, apparently this is something that has been around, like a situationship that I have just now hearing about. I heard that last week, socially unintelligent. So, of course, I started Googling, and there's such a term as that. But first, I do need to tell you something funny that has happened to me while making a podcast. Someone actually recognized me and asked for my autograph. I'm just kidding. No one has recognized me. Who's going to recognize me, for goodness sakes? But anyway, again, there I go teasing. Now, that would be hilarious if that ever did happen. I probably like, you want my what? Do you know really who I am? I'm a woman who talks in a media room into a microphone. But anyway, I think that I would have preferred someone ask for my autograph. So, as most of you know, that I am not a doctor, a therapist, or a life coach. And many things that I talk about are, yes, they're my thoughts and my opinions. But when I share a story, I talk about life. And usually the stories I do share is because someone has told me the story. Perhaps it could be a story from years and years ago that I remember, and it relates to whatever the topic is that I'm speaking about. Someone, and that's why, that's the other thing. That's why I always change the names because, well, first of all, I am lousy at remembering names. I could see you, and if I don't repeat your name continuously, I will not remember it. But I am horrible at names, but a face, I never forget. So if you ever commit a crime and I see and you introduce yourself to me and then you try to get away and they say, what was the person's name? I will not be able to tell them the name, but I will be able to recognize the face. It's just funny. And I've recognized voices too. It's really strange. I can recognize a voice from an old TV show and think, oh, that's the voice of blah, blah, blah. So of course I Google it and I realize, oh, that is the same person. And I always find it amazing and tell my husband, you know who that is? And he's just sweet and listens to me. But anyway, back to where I wanted to share. When I do talk about certain topics or people, that's why I changed the name. It could have been a story that happened yesterday. It could have been a story that happened 10 years ago. People I don't even talk to anymore, or, someone I met on the street. So I usually change the name, the gender, the amount of kids they might have, the city, the state, the climate. I just change everything because I don't want to offend someone for sharing their stories. Although I'm sure the podcast that I do have regarding an affair to remember, that person probably has not heard that. And if she or he does, they're probably going to freak out to know that that's on a podcast and the radio. But anyway, so if you've never heard that one, it's called, that podcast of mine is an affair not to remember. But it's a pretty good podcast. But back to this. So what has happened is a lot of these stories that I do share, I think when I'm talking about them, I probably upset some people because these are my opinions and they're like, oh, I don't, this lady doesn't know what she's talking about. But I'm thinking on some of these podcasts that I have struck a nerve. Actually, I know I have struck a nerve on a certain podcast. Now, I'm not going to go into full detail so you can go hear it and say, oh, I wonder who she's talking about. But I struck a nerve, and no one literally, including myself, no one wants to hear about the negative parts or side of their life. I don't like to hear the negative part of my life. Who does? So someone has heard one of these podcasts, and they were not happy with it. So they may be living with friends or family or coworkers or a neighbor, and they don't like what I had to say. And of course, a friend of a friend of a friend told an aunt, and then the aunt told her daughter, which was my cousin, told me that someone heard one of my podcasts and they were not happy with me. So on that, do I apologize? Nope. If you think that I am sharing a story about you and you don't like it, just remember, you don't have to listen. I don't get paid for this. I do it for fun. Someone once said, you need to have a podcast. You have so much to say, so much to share. So I did. But remember, you don't have to listen. If I have over 100 podcasts. I'm sure there's one that you would just literally love to enjoy about. But so where I'm getting at is, if you listen to podcasts, any of them, and you can relate to them and they can help you, great. If they can make you chuckle, great. If they make you feel uneasy, because it is talking about something that you can relate to, then either help yourself, reevaluate your life, and think, am I really like that? But I promise, if I have offended anyone, then it was not on purpose, and that I need to tweak my life all the time. So trust me, you probably need to tweak your life. Again, I always say no one is perfect. No family is perfect. No marriage is perfect. No children are perfect, because there's no such thing as perfect. So trust me, I'm always trying again to tweak my life when I find out, I may have screwed up on something, because we all mess up. I'm sorry. You may know someone and they feel like they are the best and sweetest and kindest people. And everyone has a secret. Trust me. Now that I do know, everyone has a secret. Now it may not be a secret that may have just happened, but it could be a secret in their life. I have secrets. Now that's going to drive my listeners crazy. So what kind of secrets does she have? But we all have secrets. Now that I have shared all this and probably really confused you, and if you're driving, I hope I have not confused you while you're driving and listening to this podcast. Let's go back to the topic, and it is called Socially Unintelligent. Now, this term is actually new to me, and so it's pretty much self-explanatory what that means when you hear it. Yes, someone shared with me about meeting different people throughout the U.S. And yes, they did. And usually I do ask people, hey, can I share your story? But sometimes I don't. But I'm not giving names out again. But anyway, so someone um, travels a lot, and they told me that they meet a lot of people that are socially unintelligent. I said, I have never heard this term, but again, obviously, you know what it means. And have you ever met someone like this? I mean, I have to say they just are very quiet when I meet people, but to say they're socially unintelligent, I don't know. But when you meet a group, you can, some people think, oh, well, look, they're not even chatting with us. They're being such snobs, or they may feel a little awkward. And sometimes people just have a hard time connecting. But in reality, are they socially unintelligent? No, they may just be a quiet person. Some people don't want to share all their life stories. Um, so does this mean they're unintelligent? Like they're duh? No, they are not. Duh. They are usually very intelligent. And some of these people are so intelligent and really would like to share their knowledge, but know that they would probably be left alone if they started sharing some of their knowledge, because it would be over people's head. And everyone's looking at them dumbfounded, like, what the heck are you talking about? And instead of just standing around politely and listening as that socially unintelligent person has, everyone pretends like, everyone else is thinking of a way to walk away. So I have been in that. I've done that. And I'm sure some of you have, where you're in a group and someone's talking about something you could care less about. And I just may nod my head, but instead I'm making a grocery list, even though I don't like to grocery shop, or I'm thinking about what am I going to do tomorrow. I do. And I'm being honest. I mean, my poor husband, he will be telling me a story and I am looking at him and I don't know what he said. So, of course, when he said, can you believe that? And then I'll go, I'm sorry. I'm up front with him. I'm like, I'm sorry. I did not hear a word you said. So he has to explain it. Yeah, I'm sure he gets a little upset. No, he doesn't get upset. Yes, he starts throwing things. No, I'm sure he's like, listen to me, woman. But anyway, so the other thing, when you're in a group, have you ever been in a group, or maybe you are that person, and you just start talking about your kids and what they did, and they did this and they did that, and nobody else could give a flying flip what you're talking about? They're just, because I know I have been guilty of that too. But most people that do choose to chat, they usually are being polite and making a list of things to do in their head, as I said, and pretend to be listening. And that is the right thing to do, at least pretend to be listening. So again, I fall in that category, but what can I say? That's just who I am. Unfortunately, that's just me. So back to the socially unintelligent. Unfortunately for them, they're introverts. And they could suffer from depression and anxiety. And that's the other thing. You never will know what people are going through. And some people will think, oh, they're always so quiet. Bugs me. Well, you shouldn't be such a chatty Cathy, and ask them a question, because people do. If you're ever in that situation, if you ask people about themselves, that's usually the thing that will get people to talk, because people do like to talk about themselves. I don't. Well, I do and I don't. But if you listen to my podcast, you know this is where I share all my deep thoughts and my opinions. And yeah, you get the gist of it. You know quite a bit about me. I doubt that someone who does feel this way hates, because it makes them feel uncomfortable. Because it makes me feel uncomfortable have you ever, I mean, I've done that too, where I say something and it's like, oh, I'm talking to myself. Oh, you'll love this. Okay. So, Yes, I'm going off on another story, but now this happened to me. So we're doing karaoke, the family. And if my family members are listening, yes, this is what you did to me. So we're doing all karaoke, and it's my turn to karaoke, and I can carry a tune. I'm no Barbara Streisand, but I can carry a tune. So I'm singing my heart out, and then I turn around because, you're following the little lyrics, and everyone left the room. I'm like, oh, I did. I remember I almost felt like crying. I was like, really? Y'all just left the room? Thanks for nothing. But I got over it. So anyway, it's kind of sad though, isn't it? Turn around and your whole family just walked out to the kitchen to go get food. And apparently, maybe I was singing a song that really upset them. That they didn't want to cry. No, I'm sure it wasn't. It was probably Selena or something. I don't know what it was. But anyway, so I have been in that situation where literally everyone just walked out, but you don't walk out in a group. My family, family's family is fine. I love them all, but you can't be in a group and just walk away. You always have to come up with an excuse like, oh, I need to go to the restroom. Oh, I'm going to go get another drink. Oh, there's someone I haven't seen in a while. But don't ever just walk off because that's rude. I hate rude. I don't do rude. I'm sure I've done rude before, but I just don't. And again, these poor people that are so quiet are labeled. Now, everybody, for some reason, everyone has a label now. I'm not sure why. I have no idea. I just want to be me. I don't want to have a label. I'm sure that you just want to be you, but someone somewhere labeled you with something. There is that they've labeled you that you're so intelligent, socially unintelligent, gay, bossy, gossipy, introvert, kind, crazy, creative, too skinny. There's so many. And these are what, to me, that kind of describes who a person is. But you can't describe people like that because then that's literally, they're labeled. Oh, yeah, you know who she is. The too skinny. She's so skinny. Trust me, no one has ever labeled me too skinny. But anyway, we all have made comments that either made no sense or were offensive or where you thought it was hilarious and you're the only one laughing and everyone gives you that awkward grin like, what the heck is she talking about? It's not even funny. And then you always wind up ending the story like, it was funnier had you been there. Okay, I know that definitely has happened. So later, after this happened, you feel like, oh man, why didn't you just stand there, socially unintelligent person? Just sit there quietly, because we just don't do that. So here's a story, and yes, it is about someone I know. I'm not going to even use names, but I need to be careful because I don't want to step on anyone's toes. Okay, it is what it is, folks. Anyway, so there's a group of women, and they get together often. And they all chat about their families, or they try to. They just talk about their jobs, or at least they try to do that too. When I say they try, some of them try, because there is always that one who gets on to her speech, her talking about everything. And when someone tries to say something, there is no way you can interrupt her. What? Have you ever been in that? That happens to me too, because maybe people don't want to hear me talk. I'm not sure, but when there's a group, you really need to take a breath and let everyone share their story. But the funny thing is that she finally takes a breath and she does ask, why is everyone so quiet? Do you know someone like that? Did you want to go, really? You're asking us why we're so quiet? So I guess we will become socially intelligent at one time or the other, or we're just going to be quiet people. Do you know someone like this? I know I know several people like this, and I do. And no, I'm not talking about you, or maybe I am talking about you. And you say, wait, that's me she's talking about, because we've all done it. So I heard something the other day, and it was, this was interesting. It said that people that love you the most actually know the least about you. That's interesting, right? How we think we know someone and we really don't. It could be even, there could be a side to your spouse that you don't even know. I need to throw all my journals away before I die. No, I don't want my kids to know that side of me. But anyway, it is different though. And I thought that is so true. So people that love you the most actually know the least about you. I thought that was an interesting thought. How we do know and how we think we know someone and everything that they do or have done in their lives because they said, oh, you know everything. And you really don't. Now, my husband and I like watching Dateline in 2020. I don't like to say we enjoy it, but we do. We find it intriguing, I guess. The sadness of someone killing someone is horrible. And that's not what we enjoy. We're amazed at these stories that people are so full of evil and meanness. But what we enjoy about the show is to see how the crimes are solved and to think all the hard work. But where I'm getting at with these shows, that you're always wondering how many of these families and friends really don't know that side of their closest people in their lives, their family and their friends. How do they know? How do they not know that? Because you have heard, I had no idea they even had thoughts like that. So again, the people that love you or know you the best or the most actually know the least about you, because it is true. I mean, it is a crazy thing to me. And then they're always wondering, well, we didn't know that they had guns in their room. We didn't know that they were threatening someone. And it's just so crazy. So they thought they were just socially unintelligent, quiet people. So again, never know what we don't know what people are going through in their life. We don't know that the pain they may hold inside or fear of talking to someone and telling them what is going on in their lives or in their heads. And it's sad because we don't know, because they are so fearful. Let's say someone confessed to you that they did something. Well, heck yeah, you better report it. But that's their fear, or that they're contemplating or they're thinking about it. Because there's so much evil in this world, it's not even funny. That's why we have got to do, well, I'm not trying to tell you what to do. You lead your life the right way, I hope. But we as people, we need to teach our kids to be kind. We need to be kind to others. We need to be good. So some people are just quiet, like I said. But nowadays, many things have new words to describe someone or something. Taciturn is a word that means a person who is quiet. And of course, some think they are unfriendly. So, they're just quiet. So you're doomed if you do, and you're doomed if you don't. So if you see someone quiet, doesn't mean that they have horrible things going on in their mind. They're just quiet. Or they're very intelligent and know that they will bore you to tears and you won't know what the heck they're talking about. So this whole podcast, I realize I say so a lot, where I'm getting at is accept people for who they are and what they say, and just be kind and not judgy. We're all judgy. Don't say you're not, because we are. I know I have been. And it's not good, because we are only judged by one spirit, and that's God the Father Almighty. So I am sure that I have been, again, one of those in the past judgment where we all have at one time or another. The thing that I guess I'm concerned about is I think a lot of people just don't care, and this is the year of elections, and I promise I won't talk about politics, because I don't know enough to share my real thoughts, but don't get so involved that you start becoming rude to your family, rude to your friends, because you don't have this. Everybody has their own opinion. I have a close friend and they have their opinions and I listen. That's all I do is listen. Now, sometimes I may say something about it, but then if I can see, they don't want to hear my side, then guess what? I stop. Because if you'll notice, you can have a great conversation with a group of friends and they can be talking all they want about politics. They can be telling you everything they know about religion and you're all being polite and courteous and listening. But as soon as you want to share your thoughts, it goes out the window. They don't want to hear your thoughts. Your thoughts don't count, but they do. So when you are in one of these groups with people and they're socially unintelligent, and then all of a sudden they start chatting and you're like, whoa, that's why they're so quiet, because they are going off the deep end talking about politics or religion. Just listen. Just be polite. Now, if they get really nasty and start pointing your finger, definitely just walk away. I do not point fingers. We are adults. We should not point fingers at anyone. So anyway, this is pretty much my take on socially unintelligent. And if you did not know what that was, well, you do now. And if you see me in the street, you can ask for my autograph, or you can ask me, was that podcast about me? And I'll say, well, maybe, maybe not. But again, we can all relate with so many things that we talk about, or I talk about here on Ticket to Life. And I hope that the next few days you have a wonderful time in your life. Do something. When I say have a wonderful time, I'm not saying go and party or anything. But if you want to do that, you can. But please, if you do choose to partake in alcoholic beverages, lately, here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, there have just been so many unfortunate accidents that have happened because of DUIs. So please don't drink and drive. Don't be proud and say, oh, I'm fine. If you have to say you're fine, then you're probably not fine. Find someone to take you home. And most importantly, take care of yourself. Thank you for listening. This is Henry, and you can hear Ticket to Life on any major podcast platforms. And until next week, go find your blessings.